Good morning, all of you. You all are welcome. Sacred Heart School's e-learning classes. Today, in this video of the thermodynamics, we will discuss about the concept of the heat capacity and the calorimetry. What do you mean by the term heat capacity and the basic terms by which you can find out how much amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of substance through 1 degree Celsius. This basic definition you have done in the lower classes. But in this video, we will discuss how this heat capacity can be classified. So, their classification on the basis of the chemistry point of view, we will discuss in this video. Now, how this heat capacity can be defined? The amount of heat absorbed by a substance is directly proportional to the temperature change. So, the Q is directly proportional to the delta T, where Q is the heat capacity, where Q is equal to the heat capacity into T. When this relation is simplified, so you have to bring heat capacity as a constant, where heat capacity is the constant of proportionality. So we can say the heat capacity C is equal to heat upon delta T. Now, what is the heat capacity? The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of the given amount of substance by 1 Kelvin is called the heat capacity. So we can say 1 gram of substance, if you want to raise their temperature through 1 Kelvin, and the total heat supplied, that known as the heat capacity. It is expressed in joule per Kelvin. So this is the basic unit of the heat capacity. Now we are taking the second type, the specific heat capacity. What do you mean by the specific heat? The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of substance through 1 degree Celsius, or this quantity you can express in term of Kelvin. So the heat capacity known as, that is the specific heat capacity. So now what is the basic difference between the heat capacity and the specific heat capacity? In case of the heat capacity, you have taken the m gram of substance, while in the specific heat capacity, you have taken the substance in a form of the 1 gram. So just 1 degree rise of temperature of any substance required whatever amount of energy, that known as the heat capacity. So we can say, if this is denoted by C, so C is equal to Q upon M into delta T, where M is taken as the 1 gram. So this is the basic definition of that known as the specific heat capacity. Now we are proceeding towards, what do you mean by the term molar heat capacity? Because this topic of the heat capacity we are studying here for the chemistry point of view. And in chemistry, the quantity of any substance is always expressed in term of the mole. You know, the mole is the basic fundamental unit, or you can say this is the 7 out of the 7 fundamental unit. So whatever quantity of the substance is taken during the measurement of the heat capacity or the specific heat capacity, and whenever this quantity is expressed in term of the mole, and then this is known as the molar heat capacity. Is it clear? So how we can define the molar heat capacity? The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 mole of a substance by 1 Kelvin, that known as molar heat capacity. So like as the previous two definition, in this definition we have taken the quantity in term of the mole, Whereas in the previous two definition, we have taken the quantity in term of the gram. So now the molar heat capacity is equal to heat upon delta T upon moles. And this mole can be expressed in term of given mass upon molar mass. You know the small m mole is equal to what? That is the given mass upon molar mass. If that quantity is placed here, then this formula can be modified further. Now we are looking for how this molar heat capacity can be expressed further. During the complete measurement of the heat capacity, we have to take one container or we have to take one vessel. In this vessel, whenever we place the substance, that time the pressure may be constant. Whenever we take the substance in this vessel, the volume may be constant. So, on the basis of this isobaric system, on the basis of this isochoric system, so the heat capacity, or you can say molar heat capacity, again can be classified in two main types. The one type known as the molar heat capacity at constant pressure, which is denoted by a symbol Cp. Whereas the molar heat capacity when observed at the constant volume, this is known as the molar heat capacity at constant volume, which is denoted by symbol Cv. Okay, so now first of all we are taking the molar heat capacity at constant pressure. If the quantity of the heat Q is absorbed by a small n moles of a substance and the temperature rises from T1 to T2, then its molar heat capacity is given by C is equal to Q upon N into T2 minus T1, or you can say Q upon N upon delta T. Since heat is absorbed by the substance at constant pressure is equal to delta H, so you can say this QP is equal to what? This is delta H. From where this expression is obtaining? You know the heat content H is equal to what? Delta H is equal to delta U plus P into delta V. And according to first law of thermodynamics, you know this Q is equal to delta U plus P into delta V. Whenever these two relations are combined together, one relation, that is the heat capacity delta H is equal to delta U plus P into delta V. While according to the first law of thermodynamics, the Q is equal to delta U plus P into delta V. When these two relations are combining together, then you will obtain, that is what? The QP is equal to what? Delta H. So, whenever the heat is supplied to a system by taking the constant volume, and this is responsible only to bring change in the heat capacity, where the delta H is equal to what? That is H2 minus H1. So we can say this QP is equal to what? Delta H, and this delta H is equal to H2 minus H1. So this Cp is equal to what? That is Qp upon m into delta V. The basic definition is this one, or you can say where Cp is written there, you can write here this delta H upon n into delta T. Or simply you can say delta H is equal to n into Cp into delta T, where Cp known as the molar heat capacity of a substance at constant pressure. Okay, so now what we are doing here? We are doing here the concept of the heat capacity. We have done the two basic definitions on the basis of the previous classes. What is heat capacity and what is the specific heat capacity? And now with what we are doing, the heat capacity at constant pressure. Because whenever we express the quantity in terms of the moles, that time the heat capacity becomes the molar heat capacity. And these molar heat capacity can be expressed at constant pressure, while these capacity can be expressed in terms of this constant volume. Now, we are proceeding towards the next part of the molar heat capacity whenever it is measured at the constant volume. You know, according to the first law of thermodynamics, at constant volume, the Q is equal to delta H, or you can say that is delta E. According to the first law of thermodynamics, you know that is Q is equal to delta U plus P into delta V. Whenever the volume is taken as constant, the delta V becomes 0, and that time the P into delta V is taken as 0, and this QV becomes equal to what? That is delta U, or you can say delta E. Delta E and delta E, delta U or delta E, and these two values are the internal energy change of the system. So what you will conclude here? According to the first law of thermodynamics, when the QP is measured and this QP is equal to what? That is the internal energy change of the system. So this QV is equal to delta H, or simply you can say this is equal to delta U. And now when you will apply the relation here, and this Cp is equal to delta V upon N into delta T, or you can say delta U or delta E is equal to N into Cv into delta T, where Cv known as the molar heat capacity at constant volume. So these are the basic formula of the two type of the heat capacity, that is the heat capacity at constant pressure as well as the heat capacity at constant volume. Now, using a specific heat of substance, the quantity of heat absorbed or evolved can be evaluated. C is equal to Q upon M into delta T, or Q is equal to M into C into delta T. Similarly, by amount of heat can be calculated using molar heat capacity. C is equal to Q upon N into delta T, and you can say Q is equal to small n into C into delta T. So these two basic formula you have to remember, and thereafter we will find out the relation between the Cp and Cv. And you know, when the Cp is measured, and this is responsible to bring two type of changes. What is the basic formula of Cp? I have told you this is equal to delta H, and this delta H is equal to what? That is delta U plus P into delta V. So when the heat is supplied to a system, this is responsible for two things. And first of all, it changes the internal energy of the system from U1 to U2. That's why you have taken the value delta U. Plus साथ में क्या बोला आपने? P into delta V. What is P? That is the pressure. And delta V what? That is the volume. That is V2 minus V1. So this P into delta V known as work done. So whenever the Cp is measured, it is responsible for two things. That is, first, it is responsible for changing of the internal energy of the system, as well as it is responsible for work done. While on the other side, if you will measure the heat capacity at constant volume, the work done becomes 0, and only you will find the relation that QV is equal to delta U, because no work done is taking place, and this is responsible to bring change in the internal energy of the system. So we can say, on the basis of these two observations, the value of Cp is always greater than Cv. The Cp is always greater than Cv, but up to what extent? So this relation we will derive in a form of this Mayer's formula, and this formula known as Cp minus Cv is equal to R. How these relations can be found out, and very soon we will discuss in my next video, and that is the Mayer formula and how Cp minus Cv is equal to R. Before doing this relation, now we are proceeding towards the concept of the calorimetry. Now the question arises, how we can measure the heat capacity of a substance. So basically, the heat capacity of the substance can be measured with the help of the device that known as bomb calorimeter. The basic principles of this bomb calorimeter that known as the concept of the calorimetry. So calorimetry is the science of the measure of the heat of a chemical reaction by measuring the temperature change. So what is this? A device that measures the heat flow is called the calorimeter. So now in this segment we are proceeding towards what is calorimeter and what is calorimetry. The purpose of this branch of chemistry is responsible just to measure the concept of the heat capacity. So now we are taking the simplest form of this calorimetry, that known as coffee cup type of the calorimeter. In this calorimeter, in constant pressure, the calorimeter pressure of a system kept constant. The thermally insulated container with a thermometer and stirrer is used. Generally, a coffee cup calorimeter is used on the basic principle Q is equal to M into C into delta T. M stands for the mass of reaction taken inside this cup, and C stands for what? That is the specific heat of a reaction mixture, and delta T stands for what? That is the change in the temperature. So coffee cup calorimeter is what? The simple device by which, by taking the constant values, you can find out the specific heat of the substance. Next device, that known as the bomb calorimeter. This device is quite sophisticated. In this device, inside one chamber, we have to take one strong metallic box, and this strong metallic box known as bomb, because this device, this box is able to tolerate the explosion made in the combustible substances. So first of all, we have to take one simple vessel. Inside this vessel, we have to place one more part, that known as the bomb, which is made up of the metallic component. And now we have to place one loop-like structure, and in this loop-like structure, we have to put the calculated amount of the combustible substance. These two connecting wires are there, and these wires are used just to pass the current inside it. And these two wires are connected at the bottom side with the help of one filament. So now one temperature, one stirrer is applied there, and one thermometer is also added there just to measure the temperature of this device. And internally, by the blue color, we have to take the water or any other suitable solvent. So now, first of all, inside this bomb, in this loop-like structure, we have to place the calculated amount of the combustible substance. And as soon as when we pass the current inside this vessel, so now this combustible substance undergoes the combustion. During combustion, the tremendous amount of heat and energy liberated. And this heat and energy liberated during this combustion is responsible to raise the temperature of this device. Before starting this experiment, we have to measure the initial temperature of this bomb calorimeter. Suppose this temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. And after the combustion, the temperature increases. And now from T1, it becomes T2. And by applying the simple formula, that is Q is equal to M into C into delta T, and we can measure the specific heat of a substance. Because in this vessel, the volume is taken as constant, so we can say this delta U can be also measured and delta H can be also measured. So this device is widely used for the measurement of the heat capacity at constant volume and all type of the combustible substances. Now we are moving towards the estimation of energy from our food. The basic requirement of the human food is carbohydrate, protein and fat. The carbohydrate and mainly glucose are the main source of energy, because all type of the ATP molecules formed inside the body is just because of the complete metabolism of the carbohydrate. The energy available in the glucose can be measured by determining its heat of combustion. So estimation of energy can be measured of all type of the food item that we are consuming here. Weight of 1.8 gram of glucose and place in a holder cup of bomb calorimeter and seal it. What you will do? For the estimation of the energy calculation, we have to take approx 1.8 gram of the glucose and we have to place inside the coffee cup type of the calorimeter. Adjust the pressure and of the oxygen inside the calorimeter is about 25 atm. Immerse calorimeter in the insulated water bath and fix. So complete setup we have to make inside this device. Inside this device we have to take the 1.8 gram of glucose, and outside this bomb we have to place the suitable amount of the water, and now we have to pass the current. The 1.8 gram of glucose undergoes the burning, and after burning it liberates energy, and this liberations energy is responsible for the increase of temperature, and this T2 can be measured with the help of the thermometer. So initial T1 we have measured before starting the experiment, and T2 we have to measure at the end of the experiment, and we can find out the difference of the temperature, that is T2 minus T1. And after this estimation, suppose the initial value is what? This initial value is T1 25. Suppose T2 is equal to 31.52, mass of glucose 1.8 gram, molar mass of glucose 180. C6H12O6 is a basic formula of glucose by which the molecular mass becomes 180 gram per mole. The heat capacity of the calorimeter 4.321 Kelvin kilojoule per Kelvin. Increase in temperature delta T you can find out, it becomes 6.52. Heat evolved Q is equal to what? Delta T and the total heat capacity of the calorimeter. Heat evolved is 6.52, specific heat 4.321, and it becomes 28.1729 kilocalvin. Number of moles of glucose is equal to 1 upon 8 upon 1 upon 80. Given mass upon molar mass, it becomes the 0.01 moles. And the heat evolved by 0.01 moles of glucose is equal to 28.1709. And the heat evolved by 1 mole of glucose is equal to 2817.29. So in this way, the calculations part made for the measurement of the heat capacity inside the calorimeter. So this device is used for the measurement of the heat capacity of any specific type of the substances. Thank you.